The village woke up with the soft cooing of pigeons and the distant bleating of goats. Mist curled like smoke above the golden fields of mustard and lentils. In this peaceful landscape lived a boy named Arav, barely 17, whose spirit was as restless as the winds that rustle through the banyan trees. Arab's world was small, measured in the stretch between his father's tea shop and the edge of the muddy riverbed. Every morning he helped his father set up the tea stall, arranging the earthen cups and fanning the small coal stove until it burned bright. He often found himself staring across the river towards the unknown, his heart beating with a silent hunger for more. Dreams are fine, his uncle often said, pulling him aside, but you need to stay grounded. What's across the river is not for boys like us. Arav didn't argue. He simply nodded and smiled, saving his words for his old, worn-out notebook. In its pages, he had scribbled stories of stars, sketches of machines, and a list of things he wanted to learn: electronics, physics, English. He didn't know how he would manage it, but he believed in something his grandfather once told him. Even the longest journey begins with a single step. But stepping out of the village was no simple matter. The river had no bridge, and the city on the other side was a world apart. The ferry had stopped running after last year's flood, and the people had begun to accept the river as a boundary rather than a passage. One evening, after the tea stall had closed and his father had gone to bed, Arab walked to the riverbank. The moonlight painted the water silver. He sat on a flat rock and spoke aloud to the night. I will build the bridge if no one else will. It started with collecting bamboo and ropes discarded by farmers. Then came books from the town school's discarded pile, a few tools borrowed from his cousin's shed, and dozens of long nights spent learning by torchlight. Villagers laughed at first, some gently, others cruelly. What do you know about building anything? Someone would call out when he dragged a pile of bamboo past the temple. Who do you think you are? An engineer from the city? But Arab kept at it. He tied, measured, and retied. He failed often, planks that broke, knots that slipped, designs that didn't hold. But he always went back, adjusting his knots, redrawing the plans. A few children began to gather around him, watching silently. Some brought nails, others brought coconut root. Soon, one man joined, then another. The laughter turned into questions. Questions turned into advice. Advice turned into help. By the time the breeze had reached halfway, the entire village was watching and walking. There were setbacks. A sudden storm washed away a third of what they had built. Arab collapsed on the riverbank, face streaked with mud and tears. His father sat beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. If you stop now, son, all you'll remember is the fall. But if you keep going, you'll remember the rise. It took another 3 months, and on a golden morning just before the monsoon, Arab stood on the wooden planks, heart pounding, as he walked the final steps and tied the last knot on the other side. The village erupted in cheers. Women wept. The old priest rang the temple bell. Each didn't just connect two banks. It connected dreams with effort, vision with action. Arab's bridge became a symbol of change. With easier access to the town, children started going to the Bata schools, traders brought new goods, and some villagers even opened bank accounts and registered for government schemes. Arab received a scholarship from a foundation that heard of his story. He moved to the city, studied engineering, and returned often, not just to see the breeze, but to teach others to build their own. Years later, he was invited to speak at a youth conference, where he ended his speech with these words: "It's never about having it all figured out. It's about believing that one step forward can change everything. The first step doesn't build the bridge, but it begins it, and that's enough."